Hey everyone, here on the channel I use AI to break down complex topics like politics with no bias or emotion. And today, ChatGPT is going to react to the latest news. I'll be talking about the Hamas-Israel Ceasefire in Gaza, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Pam Bondi, and other confirmation hearings, and the TikTok ban along with the outcome of Trump's hush money sentencing. And we'll get into all of that in just a moment, but first, let's make sure that you're subscribed to the channel because you don't ever want to miss out on any new videos. And if you haven't already, now is the perfect time to do that. Also, if you enjoyed this kind of video, don't forget to give it a like to help it reach more people. Thank you so much, and now let's get into the chat. First, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to gather all the information as of today so that we can be sure it's fully aware of what's happening right now. Now that it's ready, I'm asking it to give absolutely unbiased, clear, straightforward, and short, no-nonsense answers with no sugarcoating and call a spade and just like we want it to do. So, let's begin with the Israel-Hamas ceasefire, and here's what it has to say. Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire after 15 months of conflict brokered by Qatar, the United States, and Egypt, with Qatar playing a particularly active role. The agreement, set to begin on January 19th of 2025, includes a three-phase plan. Phase 1. A 42-day truce during which Hamas will release 33 hostages including women, children, the elderly, and the wounded in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Israeli forces will gradually withdraw from central Gaza and substantial humanitarian aid will be allowed into the region. Phase 2. Negotiations will continue to secure the release of the remaining hostages and further prisoner exchanges. This phase also aims to establish a sustainable calm address governance in Gaza, with Israel demanding the elimination of Hamas's military capabilities. Phase 3 focuses on the return of deceased individuals and the comprehensive reconstruction of Gaza overseen by international authorities. This phase is contingent on the successful implementation of the earlier stages and aims to lift the complete blockade on the Gaza Strip. This ceasefire agreement offers a pathway to peace and potential rebuilding of Gaza, but its success is far from guaranteed. The plan's fragility lies in the mutual distrust between Israel and Hamas, and its implementation hinges on both sides fulfilling their commitments under international oversight. Alright, but I also want ChatGPT's take on it, so let's ask why it thinks this happened now and whether it's really over, and here's the answer. This ceasefire is a temporary pause, not the end of the conflict. Both sides are worn down, Hamas by relentless military strikes and Israel by the economic and emotional toll of prolonged warfare. International pressure, particularly from mediators like Egypt, Qatar, and the United States, created a narrow window for this agreement, but it's fragile. Why now? The answer lies in timing. Mounting civilian casualties and the hostage crisis put immense pressure on global powers to intervene. Additionally, Hamas likely sees the writing on the wall, Trump's anticipated return to power. Unlike Biden, whose administration has tried to balance support for Israel with measured diplomacy, Trump's past actions signal a willingness to back Israel unconditionally and aggressively. For Hamas, this ceasefire might be a strategic delay before facing an even tougher geopolitical climate. Is it over? Absolutely not. The core issues, the blockade of Gaza, occupation of Palestinian territories, and the very existence of Hamas as an armed resistance movement are unresolved. Without addressing these root causes, the ceasefire is just the calm before the next storm. Violence will likely resume, whether sparked by provocations, unmet terms, or the broader cycles of grievance and retaliation that have defined this conflict for decades. The international community's inability to tackle these systemic problems head-on ensures that peace remains elusive. The ceasefire buys time but solves nothing, leaving both sides and their supporters locked in a grim, predictable loop. Well, ChatGPT thinks this is absolutely not over. Okay, got it. Let me know in the comments whether you agree with it or not. And now, let's move on to the recent confirmation hearings for the main nominees. So, what does AI think about it? And here's the answer. Pete Hegseth's hearing for Secretary of Defense was a flashpoint for controversy. His blunt rejection of diversity and inclusion policies as distractions struck a chord with Republicans but infuriated Democrats. Add to that the unresolved questions about his past behavior, and you've got a nominee who's polarizing at best. If confirmed, Hegseth will likely reshape the Pentagon to reflect a more combative and unapologetically conservative vision. Whether that's good or bad depends on where you stand. Marco Rubio for Secretary of State played it safe but firm. His hawkish stance on China and Cuba dominated the conversation. Rubio is a seasoned politician with deep knowledge of foreign policy, but his aggressive tone raises concerns about escalating tensions, particularly with China. He's poised to be a steady yet contentious figure on the global scale. Pam Bondi's hearing for Attorney General was a study in deflection. Democrats grilled her over whether she could remain independent, given her close ties to Trump, but her responses were vague. She promised to uphold the rule of law, but sidestepped specifics about ongoing investigations involving Trump's allies. Bondi's confirmation feels like a green light for Trump to press his influence further into the Justice Department. John Ratcliffe for CIA Director focused heavily on national security threats, particularly cyber attacks from China and Russia. While his message was clear, his past actions and reputation for partnership raised eyebrows. If confirmed, he's set to lead the intelligence community with a hardline approach that could deepen political divides. Alright, so what's your take? These hearings were a preview of Trump's agenda: loyalty to his vision, a hardline approach to national security, and a rejection of progressive policies. Hegseth's divisive stance on the military, Rubio's hawkish diplomacy, Bondi's vague promises of independence, and Ratcliffe's partisan reputation all signal an administration doubling down on confrontation, both at home and abroad. This isn't about balance, it's about pushing Trump's ideology forward, no matter the backlash. Got it. And by the way, I have an entire video where ChatGPT breaks down Trump's cabinet picks and decides whether they're fit for their positions or not. So be sure to check it out if you missed it. Alright, we're done with the hearings, so now let's move on to the TikTok ban. The thing is, they're pushing people to switch from TikTok, saying that it's stealing your data, to platforms like Instagram or Facebook, which, let's be honest, do the exact same thing. But somehow that's alright. Well, we'll get into that in just a moment, but first here's a quick reminder. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to leave a like, and also subscribe to the channel right now if you haven't. It really helps me out and allows this channel to reach more people, which would be simply amazing. So go ahead and do those quick things, and let's move on to the next part. Alright, so we're back in the chat where we're going to see what ChatGPT thinks about this TikTok ban, and here's the answer. The TikTok ban is a bold but fundamentally flawed approach. While it aims to address legitimate national security concerns over Chinese access to user data, the execution has created unintended consequences. For instance, 700,000 US users have already migrated to RedNote, an app that is also entirely Chinese-owned, effectively trading one potential risk for another. This outcome highlights a key issue. Banning TikTok doesn't eliminate the problem, it just shifts it. To complicate matters, reports suggest that Elon Musk could emerge as a potential buyer for TikTok's US operations if ByteDance is forced to sell. While this might seem like a solution on paper, Musk's track record, particularly with Twitter, raises serious concerns. His leadership has been characterized by chaotic management, unchecked algorithmic favoritism, and polarizing content policies. If TikTok were to come under Musk's control, it could transform into a platform focused on controversy and spectacle rather than community and stability. In summary, the ban, designed to safeguard US interests, has inadvertently exposed the lack of a coherent long-term strategy for regulating global tech platforms. Instead of resolving security risks, it has created new ones, leaving users and policymakers grappling with the fallout. Alright, well then what do you think about this idea? Would you do the same? I support the idea of forcing TikTok's sale to a US company, but definitely not to Elon Musk. Selling it would address security concerns while keeping the platform accessible. However, Musk's track record with Twitter makes him a poor choice to handle a platform as influential as TikTok. A more stable and accountable buyer would be crucial. Got it. And yeah, I mean really, TikTok in Elon Musk's hands? No thanks. I mean, just look at what he's done to Twitter. I can't even open it without seeing a bunch of fakes all over the main page. Or is that just me? Alright, let's move on to the last story for today. We're talking about Trump's hush money sentencing. So, what does ChatGPT think about it? Well, let's check it out. Donald Trump was convicted in the hush money case, but faced no penalties, effectively walking away without consequences. The charges, centered on falsifying business records to hide payments during the 2016 campaign, were serious enough to merit attention, but apparently not serious enough for real repercussions. This outcome sends a troubling message that powerful figures can face legal scrutiny but still walk away unscathed. Critics are right to call this a failure of accountability, while supporters conveniently spin it as proof of innocence in a witch hunt. In reality, this decision sidesteps the deeper problem, a justice system that seems ill-equipped to handle cases involving high-profile politicians. It's not about whether the case was politically motivated, it's about the fact that it leaves the public doubting the rule of law. Trump walks away claiming victory, but the system, not him, looks weaker for it. Yeah, well, of course, ChatGPT criticized it, but what would it suggest? I mean, if AI were in charge of the sentencing, what would it do? If I were in charge of Trump's sentencing in this case, I'd impose a significant fine, reflecting the severity of falsifying business records to conceal payments tied to his campaign. Additionally, I'd mandate community service or public restitution, such as funding initiatives to promote campaign finance, transparency, and education. This could include financing public awareness campaigns about the importance of ethical political practices, thereby directly addressing the nature of the offense. Jail time, while symbolic, might be excessive given the nonviolent nature of the crime and its broader implications. However, there must still be real and visible consequences to underscore that even the most powerful figures are not above the law. A sentence like this would serve not only as accountability for Trump's actions, but also as a warning to future leaders that bending or breaking the law in pursuit of political gain will not go unpunished. At its core, the goal isn't vengeance, it's to restore public trust in the justice system, demonstrating that justice applies equally to all, regardless of position or influence. Anything less risks eroding faith in the rule of law and reinforcing the perception that power shields individuals from meaningful consequences. Well, alright, that's pretty much it. As we can see, ChatGPT is not exactly thrilled with most of what's happening right now, but what about you? Do you agree with its takes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And after that, be sure to click on this video where ChatGPT breaks down Trump's plan on Greenland, the Panama Canal, and that bizarre idea to turn Canada into the 51st state. Thanks for watching, click on that video, and I'll see you there in just a moment.